Pat McDonough, thanks so much for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
Let's talk about why you wanted to run again for this position and what led up to that decision.
Well, when I ran 4 years ago, I predicted Olszewski would be a disaster. And I became a modern-day Nostradamus. He is a disaster. So all of my signs and all of my literature say, save Baltimore County, because that's what I want to do. If 4 more years of Johnny will be a disaster for Baltimore County. We've lost over 300 police officers. We've lost 1,100 teachers. Our volunteer fire department is down by 25%. We have violence out of control in the school system. Crime is up, despite what he says, crime is up. Our neighborhoods are experiencing a decline in the quality of life. And his agenda is wokey and left and moving us in the wrong direction against the values of Baltimore County. So somebody needed to run to change all of that and give us a chance, give us a second breath, and bring the county to where it needs to be. It's a great county, 850,000 people, probably in 5 years, 1 million people, twice the size of Baltimore City. Great people, good wealth, good businesses, jobs available. At one time, we were the number one, 2013, we were the number 1 education system in the country. We're now 25th. So it's pretty clear, if you've lived in Baltimore County for more than 10 years, you have witnessed the decline, and you have seen it. And I have certainly seen it, and I want to bring the county back and put it on the right path, and we have to get rid of Johnny to do that.
You bring up a lot of the topics that I want to talk to you about: crime, schools, some of the issues facing the people of Baltimore County.
Right.
What do you think is the biggest concern for you, and what are you hearing from people as you're out knocking on doors and campaigning? What are they telling you?
Well, the biggest issue with the people in Baltimore County, and I spoke to 500 people in early voting and on election day after they voted, Democrats and Republicans in 5 different locations in the county. And the number 1 issue was, I asked them, what do you fear most? And they said, we fear the future. We fear the future. They were young people. They feared the future for their children in Baltimore County education. If they were older people, they feared the decline in their neighborhood and the crime. So fearing the future is not a good sign. And I'm telling you, it was 90% of the people. If you fear the future, you fear the Olszewski administration. There's a great deal of hostility towards Johnny Olszewski. I've known him for 20 years. I like him. I get along with him. But the average people have tremendous hostility against Olszewski. Everywhere I go, they say, oh, I don't want that guy. We got to get rid of that guy.
Why?
Well, one reason I think, if you're a homeowner in Baltimore County, your property taxes have increased 4 years in a row, every homeowner in Baltimore County. If you're a senior, you're concerned about the crime and the decline in the quality of life in your neighborhoods. If you're a young person, 50,000 parents in Baltimore County, you're concerned about the education your children are not receiving and the violence they are receiving. So people hold that against the top guy, and he's the county executive.
Are you ready to take on that role and assume that responsibility if elected?
Well, when I was in my 20s, I worked for the greatest mayor that ever lived, William Donald Schaefer, a little before your time, but he was the greatest mayor. He taught me a lot of things. I served as the assistant to the last Republican county executive, and sometimes ran the county, and I served 20 years in the Maryland General Assembly. I know how to run the county. I know how to work with the legislature. I'm ready on day 1 to reform the county, and we're going to have some fantastic reforms. The earth will shake. There's going to be a seismic change in Baltimore County, and we're ready to go on day 1.
Let's talk about that. Looking at some of the changes, I read that you have some plans for the police and the police department. How do you plan to handle the crime?
Well, I have the right, number 1, to replace the police chief, and she will be going as soon as possible.
Why do you think that will help?
Well, it'll help the morale of the police department, where we're losing officers every week. They don't like her. They don't like her management style.
Is it because, I've heard that some people might not like her just because she's a woman. Do you think that's true?
No, I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think they don't like her because they believe she's soft on crime and hard on cops. And she voted for some things that turned them off, like voting for a police officer who was involved in a criminal act as a hero. They don't like the fact that the way they're deployed. They don't like the fact that the drug attack units have been reimagined, so to speak. 4 colonels quit on the first day she was in office that were veterans from Baltimore County. She replaced them with 4 Baltimore City colonels. There's a lot of reasons they don't like her, and they don't like Olszewski. They think he's hard on cops and soft on crime. So we're going to change that right away. We're going to be a law and order community, no squeegees, no dirt bikes, no riots in malls without consequences, new police chief. We're going to give them the highest salary in the region when I become the county executive. We're going to give them, they don't even have a training center. They don't have an academy, a real academy. They don't even have a training center for the dogs. So there's a lot of things we're going to do. We're going to also try to create a citizens on patrol organization throughout the county to get the community involved. I'm a strong believer in the community. Mayor Schaefer taught me many years ago, he said, Pat, when you become the leader of the community, when you're elected a leader, said you got to take care of the community and take care of their problems. You're not a Democrat, you're not a Republican, you're the father of the village, and you take care of that village. So we're going to do well by the police. We're going to back them up. When Mayor Giuliani was elected mayor of New York, he had 1,700 vacancies. They were filled within 1 year because he convinced and made sure that everybody knew he was going to back the police. So we're going to pass a police bill of rights in Baltimore County to protect them. I co-sponsored the state bill of rights 20 years ago, and the legislature got rid of it. I'm going to put a local bill of rights to protect our officers.
If the state took it away, though, do you think it's a good idea to put one in place at the local level?
It's a must. The police want it. I can't attract police officers. I'm going to change the code so I can bring retired police officers in. I got to find 350 police officers, and I'm going to bump it up to 2,000, so I've got to find 500 actually. And I got to take care of them, and I got to let them know that I'm backing them up. The community wants me to do that. If I'm elected, that's why I'm elected. They want that crime stopped, and they want those police. Police now are running, they're running after 5 barking dogs at one time. If they're out on a call, people say, why does it take the police an hour to get here? Well, they're going 3 or 4 other places because we don't have enough people.
You'll be competing with Baltimore City too, because we know that Baltimore City has, their police department is understaffed. How will you make working in Baltimore County more attractive?
Nobody wants to work in Baltimore City. If you're a police officer, you don't want to work in Baltimore City. You got to be nuts. The politicians in Baltimore City are all anti-cop. Your career's on the line, your life's on the line, your family's on the line. You come to Baltimore County, County Executive McDonough will take care of you. He will protect you. The county council will protect you. We're not anti-cop, we're pro-cop. Big difference. If I'm a young person, no way in hell do I want to go work in Baltimore City. They're not a competitor.
You talked about squeegee kids. We know that that is an issue in, obviously, Baltimore City. We've talked a lot about the squeegee problems here. Do you view the law as the same way that Baltimore City does, in terms of that you can't enforce certain laws because what they're doing is protected free speech?
That's a bunch of baloney. Baltimore City politicians are failed politicians. It's a failed city, okay? We're not going to, I pledge to all the people when I speak to them, I will never allow Baltimore County to become a failure like Baltimore City. If you're a squeegee in my county, you will be arrested. You will be charged. There is nothing to do with free speech. Secondly, we will put you to work. I mean, I'll give you a plea bargain, okay? You can clean nursing homes, you can clean hospitals, you can clean the roads. You're going to do something. There's going to be consequences. No mall riots, no squeegees, no dirt bikes. Something's going to happen. The community does not want it. Schaefer taught me you cannot sustain a community if you do not have sustainable neighborhoods. We're going to take care of the neighborhoods. So no, we're not going to put up with any of that nonsense in Baltimore City.
Let's talk about schools, because we just did a story this week already about another fight in a Baltimore County public school. We're seeing videos surface all the time. Is school safety a concern for you and what you're hearing from potential voters?
I was the founder of the Parents and Students Coalition in Baltimore County. We did the legal work for them. I've been on it for 2 years. Technically, I've been on it for 6 years, since 2014. I am one of the leaders in Baltimore County on this issue. As county executive, we're going to change things immediately. Number one, we're going to pass a Parents' Bill of Rights. Number two, we're going to create the Office of Education Advocate who will enforce the Parents' Bill of Rights. Number three, we're going to pass a curriculum act that mandates that you cannot have any curriculum related to CRT or not only CRT, but education in the sex training for young children. We're going to mandate that you teach civics and drug awareness K through 12 every year, different levels. In addition to that, we are going to sue the Baltimore County Election Board with a federal lawsuit, which we're going to announce this Thursday at a news conference, because the system that they have, the discipline system they have, is pro-violent discipline system, and it violates the Constitution.
The school board of the Baltimore County School Board?
Yes.
In what ways are they violating that?
The Supreme Court 6 months ago, under Justice Alito, issued a declaration that all children have the same rights as adults, including due process and the right to protection under the law against criminal acts. What is happening in the Baltimore County system is continuous and consistent criminal acts. It's because the system is pro-violence or soft on violence. Just like the liberals are soft on crime, they're soft on violence in the school system, all over the country actually, but right here in Baltimore County.
How so?
Well, there are no consequences. It's just like the squeegee boys. It's a squeegee boy attitude. You know, you commit a crime, you assault someone. We've had people assaulted, we've had people put in the hospital, we have had guns, we've had people stabbed, we've had a murder in Baltimore County. The consequences are not there. There's nothing. That's called due process. You're entitled as a child to due process. Protection under the law, that's the Constitution. That's what Justice Alito wrote. So the Supreme Court has already decided on this issue. All it needs is a federal action. We have parents that are going to be plaintiffs who have been victims. Who are going to be plaintiffs. And this is going to be a national lawsuit. This is going to be on the national news. When we win this case, it will not only free and make safe the children of Baltimore County, it'll do Baltimore City, it'll do children, tens of thousands of children all across America who are operating under these systems. It will be abolished, it won't be allowed, just like the gun law was changed by the Supreme Court. So we're going to do a lot. County executives often lie to people and say, well, I have no authority with the school system, it's up to the superintendent. Well, I'm going to be the new superintendent. I'm going to be the co-superintendent. I control the budget. I have a lot of power, and I'm going to be totally involved with the school system in Baltimore County. Teachers, 1,100 teachers gone. You know, in every classroom, TAPCO has a teacher representative. They were asked to vote on endorsing Olszewski. They voted 117 to 12 against Olszewski. That's what they think of Olszewski when you're a teacher.
Going back to the lawsuit, I guess, what exactly are you looking for in terms of change that the school system could implement to protect students?
Well, for 50 years, we had a great discipline system in Baltimore County. Worked well, simple, traditional, old-fashioned. If you assaulted someone, there was a consequence. Now, that's all we're going to do, make sure there are consequences. The second thing, though, that violates the Constitution and protection under the law is that when someone is assaulted or harmed in the Baltimore County system or the city system, the parents are not told anything. No details are revealed. This comes from a federal memorandum issued by President Obama in 2014. Google it and look it up, the Obama rule. And nobody knows anything. Now, the systems are afraid to some extent because they don't want to violate that Obama rule. Once we go to the Supreme Court, we know what the ruling's going to be, that all of these systems are unconstitutional and violate the civil rights of parents and students. That will eliminate across America. This will be national news. This will be a change in America's way of life. All of those systems will be abolished. And not only that, but some states like Maryland. In Maryland, the General Assembly passed similar legislation to the federal executive order. So it must be settled in the courts because the courts will eliminate the state stuff and the local stuff. Plus, I'll tell you one other thing. Olszewski, the school board, and the superintendent, they like this system. Their President Obama created it. They like it. All rallies in the world like we had last night, all the protests in the world, all we get is this. They're not changing anything.
One of your plans would be also to tell parents to report these incidents to the police.
Yes.
Instead of the school system itself. Why do you think that's important?
Well, we call it Safe Kids 911. Right now, the SROs are connected under agreement to the school system. As county executive, I will tear up that agreement. They will be connected to me and the police chief. They will work for us. We will encourage all parents. We will issue a direction to all parents and make it public to the media. We want them to file a criminal complaint because we've got to get their complaint, their incident, to take them away from being victims of the school system and make them citizens in the criminal justice system.
Can't they do that now, though?
They can. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of courage. A lot of them do not do it under the present system. They are told they must go within the system. They go within the system. They're misled, they're lied to, and they never get out until to the criminal system. Some do. I want them all to. And I will create a special unit in the police department to take care of them, and I will tell the state's attorney, or I will ask the state's attorney to prosecute in some of these cases. On the other hand, we're going to create a community service program for young people where they go out, they clean the roads, they do all that, but also we're going to have training classes. We're going to have an academy that teaches them some things they don't understand about violence, cordiality. We're going to try to train them and help them. So same way with the kids that mess up in the school system and the ones that are the squeegees. They're all going to go to the academy.
What's your relationship like, or do you have a relationship with the county state's attorney?
Oh yeah, we're good friends.
Do you see that partnership strengthening or changing if elected from the current partnership?
Well, I have great faith in him. I've known him for many years. I worked with him in the legislature on a lot of bills that were proposed. He's a great guy. I supported him in his reelection bid, and I'm glad he got reelected. Thank God. If the other guy got reelected, I'd resign as county executive. That guy was so far in left field, it couldn't lock anybody up. He was one of those George Soros let him out characters like Marilyn Mosby. But yeah, I think we have a very good working relationship. I think he'd be glad to see me there because he's very concerned about public safety.
Looking at some of the policies that we're talking about and we're hearing, are you concerned about criminal justice reform that is happening on the state level and the national level and some of the bills and discussions that are moving forward? It sounds a little counter to what you're trying to put in place.
Right, and what they are putting in place is unpopular and is the number 2 issue in the United States, and that's why they're going to lose the House of Representatives, and that's why they're going to lose the Senate. You cannot have out-of-control crime that is getting worse, moving in the wrong direction. People are leaving. People are coming to Baltimore County, but productive people are leaving Baltimore County. It's my job to protect public safety. It's my job to protect the neighborhoods. I have got to protect the police and make them functional. I've got to make them successful. Baltimore County is about success. We're going to be successful in Baltimore County. We're going to do things. We're going to have reforms. Like I said, the earth is going to shake. We are not Baltimore City, believe me. And I consider Baltimore City a dangerous competitor. They affect crime in Baltimore County. They affect drugs. They affect a lot of things. Olszewski said the other day, we're going to get our people from economic development and the business community, and we're going to have them cooperate with Baltimore City. No, we're not. We're not going to do that. We're going to take the business community and the economic development and the best and brightest to make Baltimore County a better place to live. We're not worried about Baltimore City. They have a mayor, they have a city council, who I think are all failures, but they have them. They elected them. Maybe they won't re-elect them, I don't know. But we have no obligation to Baltimore City. My obligation is to Baltimore County.
Do you see any sort of partnerships? Because we see a lot of working, people working together, bringing businesses to the area, working especially along the waterways.
Well, I have 200 miles of waterway in Baltimore County. I have 35 marinas and restaurants. We're going to build that up. That's a great asset that's been neglected by Olszewski and others.
But you don't see working with the city as a priority?
No, not at all. No. What is the city going to do for us? It's all about my county. I will work with the city when it benefits my county. For example, carjacking. We will work with the city. Intelligence on criminal justice and public safety. We will work with the city on that. I'm going to compete with the city. If the city is trying to get police officers, they're not going to get them. They don't want to work there. They're going to come to Baltimore County. If the city is trying to get a business, I'm going to compete with them. I'm going to recreate the Economic Development Department in Baltimore County, make it huge and powerful. We're going after business big time. So Baltimore County is my job, not Baltimore City. Okay, that's the mayor's job. It's up to him to do it, but that's his job.
When we talk about crime, you were charged with a misdemeanor. It was later dropped. Can people trust you to get a handle on it?
Well, first of all, it was a misdemeanor involving a $2 sign, and it was dismissed because it was nonsense, okay? And the state's attorney knew it. That's number one. Number two, but if you want to talk about, I never stole anything in my life, quite frankly, and I'm not a young man. If you want to talk about corruption, Johnny Olszewski is under investigation right now for a waste transfer station, a private waste transfer station down in Dundalk, okay, that was put together by a group of people who gave him $30,000 in campaign money, and a whistleblower charged him with corruption, and that is now under investigation by the state's attorney, not the state's attorney, state prosecutor. Now that compared to a $2 sign, if you want to talk corruption, let's talk corruption, okay? Now in addition to that, his chief of staff, who was the communication relationship with the Inspector General in Baltimore County, resigned without advance notice and had no other job. And I was told he resigned because the Inspector General told him, I'm not going to negotiate with you anymore. I'm going to do what I got to do.
I want to talk about the Inspector General because in Baltimore City, we see the growth and the expansion of the IG office. We're talking about, a potential change in the oversight board in Baltimore City. How do you see the role of the IG in the county, and would you like to see Kelly Madigan get more resources to expand her office?
Well, Olszewski created that position, and I'll give him credit for that. Then he tried to destroy it by putting an oversight committee filled with politicians who need to be investigated. So he tried to have it both ways, and it didn't work. I will never put an oversight committee over Kelly. I like Kelly personally. I'm going to adopt her. I'm going to give her a bigger staff, and I'm going to say, Kelly, the doors of Baltimore County government are open to you. You investigate everything. You find corruption in this government, and I will back you. I'm not like Olszewski. I'm not hiding it. I'm not blocking it. And there's a lot of it in the Olszewski administration. You want to talk about corruption? He was giving away waivers to people who did business with the county government. He was giving away waivers on their fees, right? The county council, his own Democrats, got so concerned about what he was doing, they took that power away from him. That's corruption. So, no, I'm going to adopt her. She's going to be my friend, and I want her to find all the corruption. Do you find that
concerning, though? Would you be too close to her if she would be investigating you potentially?
No, we both serve the public. We both serve the government. I want an honest administration. I want any corruption ripped out of there. I want to be told about it. It's hard to find whistleblowers. That's her job. I'm going to make her more powerful. No oversight committee. She's going to work for the people. I'm going to work for the people. We're going to be a team.
So you would allow her budget to expand so she could hire more people?
I will increase her staff.
Quickly, I want to talk about marijuana legalization because that's on the ballot this November. How would you, if passed, what do you see that looking like in the county?
Terrible. 19 states have passed legalized marijuana. In all 19 states, a lot of bad things have happened. Number one, the use of marijuana by high school age young people increased by 25% or more in every state. Number one. Number two, the cartels, the gangs, that's MS-13, that sell the illegal stuff, doubled in power. They made more money, they had increased customers. Now, Maryland is the worst state in the world where you can legalize marijuana for two reasons. Number one, the General Assembly they're all pro-criminal politicians. So we already have MS-13. We already have the cartels throughout Maryland because we are a sanctuary state. They're all over the place. I'm going to be facing, this is what Olszewski's going to leave me, an undermanned police force and a decapitated drug strike force. That legalization of marijuana is going to increase the danger to my high school kids, to my families, with fentanyl, cocaine, all heroin.
Well, it would be sold in a controlled environment and tested.
There is no controlled environment. The part of the controlled environment is in every state. All 19 states have laws that have a quote-unquote controlled environment. Now, I'm not concerned about people who smoke a little marijuana on a weekend or go to an event. That's not my concern. I served for 16 years on the health committee in the General Assembly. I get information from all over the world, on Colorado, Johns Hopkins. What it creates, and in a state, see that this is the worst state in the nation because we have politicians who are pro-criminal, they're soft on crime, and we have a sanctuary state. Everybody that's coming from Texas in buses going to Washington, D.C., they're coming into Montgomery County, okay? So I have an understaffed police force, a strike force that must be better and made better right away, and I've got to fight my borders because they're coming into Baltimore County. Those all-powerful, more powerful drug groups, MS-13's already here. Their headquarters is Montgomery County, 20 miles away? They're coming into my county to wreak havoc into my high schools. That's what I've got to fight. Olszewski's hard on cops, soft on crime. He's the worst guy to have in this position when the marijuana legalization takes place.
We're running out of time, so in one sentence, what would a McDonough administration look like in Baltimore County, and how would it be different?
Well, first of all, it will be a very reformed administration. There will be new ideas. I will never do anything unless I can create. If you go to my website, everything on my website are issues created by people, like the police gave me the information on the police. That stuff is on the website. The teachers gave me the information on the teachers. The community leaders gave me the information on the communities. Housing's a big issue. We didn't get a chance to. But everything on there, unless I have an answer, a solution, or an idea, I won't change or criticize anything. But there are so many broken, failed things going on in Baltimore County that are endangering the people. My first 6 months, I'm going to work in bib overalls with a tool belt. I have to fix so much stuff in the first 6 months to get this county moving in the right direction. And I say again, and I will say it again and over again, if Johnny is reelected, it will be a disaster.
Are you feeling confident heading into election? We've got less than 2 weeks.
Well, I do feel confident. I think there's a lot of good things happening. There is the big red tide. Everybody who votes for Dan Cox that's a Republican will vote for me. Everybody that's a Republican that doesn't vote for Dan Cox will vote for me.
Are you going to vote for Dan Cox?
Oh, yeah, sure. I don't know anything about Westmore. I mean, I heard he got a Bronze Star and he didn't get a Bronze Star. I heard he lived in Baltimore and he didn't live in Baltimore. Doesn't have any political representative experience whatsoever. I don't know anything about Westmore. Now, I don't agree with everything that Dan Cox says. And remember, he's running on state issues.
Right.
People will say, oh, well, he's another Trump or he's another. No, I'm another William Donald Schaefer. That's who. I'm not Donald Trump. I'm Donald Schaefer, okay? We're going to fix this county. I'm going to take care of my county and my people. Now, I will work, if Westmore's the governor, I will work as good as I can, as well as I can with him. He is the governor. We need state relations. A lot of people on my staff are going to be former legislators that are going to work with the General Assembly. And they're not all going to be Republicans. They're going to be people that are competent that I can rely on. I can't fix this county. It's a big job. I can't fix this county by myself. I'm going to need a great staff, good people, not politically correct people, not identity people, competent people.
Are you worried about turning off voters?
As charming and as nice as I am, I don't see how there's any way I could ever turn off a voter.
Pat McDonough, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck.
Thank you.